Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Blake, we sucked this past weekend. We're gonna get into it in a second. We just gotta be better. Overall, we're doing pretty good, but this weekend was pretty tough. Let's jump into the American League. First off, we have the New York Yankees sweeping the Chicago White Sox. Baltimore took 2 of 3 from Seattle. The Angels took 2 of 3 from Texas. They get some gear on today for me. Tampa took 2 of 3 from Toronto. Cleveland sweeps Minnesota. Very tight series. Minnesota just fell short in all of them. And
Yep.
then the Kansas City Royals swept Oakland. Go over the National League.
Yeah, the LA took 3 of 4 from Cincinnati at home. Phillies swept Washington, not really much of a surprise there. Pittsburgh took 2 of 3 from Chicago. The Atlanta series isn't done yet, but San Diego did take the first two of that 4-game series. They're going to play a doubleheader tomorrow. San Fran, big sweep over Colorado, and it was Miami taking 2 of 3 from the Mets at home.
Yeah. And then the interleague, we had 3 matchups. It was Milwaukee versus Houston. Houston ended up taking 2 of 3 from Milwaukee. Then Boston and St. Louis. Boston, you would have thought, could have taken some games from St. Louis, but St. Louis goes home and wins 2 of 3. And then finally, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks losing 2 of 3 to Detroit. It's been a pretty tough start to the season for the D-backs. It seems they just haven't been as good as advertised. We'll see if they get it going as we head into the summer. Right now, we both went 7-7 this week. We had 4 head-to-head matchups. We both went 2-2 against each other.
Yep.
We could be 7-8 by tomorrow. If the
Yep.
Padres win a game, then we lose that. If not, the best we can do is 7-7-1. Pretty subpar week from us.
Yep.
Usually, we're in the tens, the nines. Sometimes, the past couple weeks we've had a 11. You had a 14-1
Yeah.
uh week. Well, yeah, we're at 7-7 for this week. Right now I'm at 117-89 with 17 ties, while you're at 128-79 with 15 ties. So yeah, still gonna be up 10 series on me. But yeah, let's throw this one in the trash and let's head on to the next week. All right.
Yep.
First up, we have the Angels heading into Houston to take on the Astros. They've struggled with the Astros in the past. It's going to be Reed Detmers versus Framber Valdez, Griffin Canning versus Christian Javier, and Tyler Anderson versus Hunter Brown. Like I just said, the Angels have a very, very bad record against this Houston team over the past 10 seasons.
Yeah.
They are their kryptonite. Houston owns the Angels. They are coming off of 2 of 3 from Texas. Obviously, they got Luis Renjifo back over the weekend, which was big for their lineup. But still, Houston looks like they're starting to turn the corner. I was kind of waiting on this. Looks like it's happening. But we'll see. I'm gonna go with Houston though. Obviously, much more depth there, and Framber Valdez owns the Angels, so that's at least one win right there. You would think.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Astros too. Although play devil's advocate a bit for the Angels, you got Detmers and Anderson going in this series. They're two best starters, arguably. So Anderson's in a really good bright spot for them this year. Yeah, Houston. If there's a team that can overcome a slow start like that, it is a team like that. We'll see if they can climb out of it. It is a pretty steep hole, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston here too.
Next up, with the Chicago White Sox heading into Toronto to take on Blake's Jays, I should say. It'll be Eric Fetty versus Jose Barrios, Garrett Crochet versus Yusei Kikuchi, and Mike Clevenger versus Chris Bassett. Personally, I want to take the White Sox, but I am going to take Toronto at home. They can't hit. I mean, they pulled one out today, but they just cannot hit. They almost got perfect gamed on Friday night on Apple TV. Garrett Crochet versus UK Kikuchi. I'm looking at that matchup as the one where the White Sox probably could win one. That's not a slight on Kikuchi, just how good Crochet's been over his past 3 starts. But yeah, I mean, you would think that Toronto's pitching is enough to win some ball games, but we'll see how they swing it. I'm gonna go with the Jays though.
Yeah, I'll take the Jays here too. Just one side note here. An encouraging thing for the Jays right now is what they're getting from Alek Manoah right now. The last 2 starts, he's gone into the 7th inning. Looked like his old self today against the Rays. 7 innings, no earned runs, 7 Ks. So that's a bright spot in a season where there hasn't been very many, right? So that's that. Hopefully he's turning the corner there. But I'll go the Jays here. If they can't beat the White Sox, we got some serious pop-ups. Like seriously, it's not good.
Well, we'll see. Next up, we have Boston heading into Tampa. They just played a week ago.
Yeah.
It is going to be Tanner Houck versus Taj Bradley, Cooper Criswell versus Zach Littell, and Brian Bale versus to be determined. I'm going to go ahead and go with Tampa in this series. Last week I took Boston to at least split in that 4-game series at Fenway. I took them this past weekend against St. Louis, and they lost this past weekend. So it doesn't seem like things are going very well for Boston the past 10 games or so. And Tampa, they've been winning. They just came off 2 of 3 from the Jays, and then what I said before, 3 of 4 from Boston last week. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Tampa in this when they are at home. They do have Zach Littell on the mound, has been pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Rays on this one.
I'm gonna go with the Rays too. Boston's burned me a lot the last 2 weeks, so I'm gonna switch it up here a little bit. Although they do got to go against Tanner Houck, who's absolutely shoved to start this season. Um, Bayo's okay, and then yeah, you got Littell there in the middle, like you mentioned. Yeah, I'll go Tampa. They're at home too. It's always tough to win in the Trop.
Yep. Next up with the Seattle Mariners heading into New York to take on the Yankees, it'll be Logan Gilbert versus Marcus Stroman, Brian Wu versus Clark Schmidt, Bryce Miller versus Nestor Cortez, and Luis Castillo versus Luis Hill. I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Yankees on this one, mainly because they're hot right now. They've won 7, 8 in a row.
Mhm.
Obviously, just swept the White Sox team that's not as good as them. Now they have to face Seattle, who's a much better team. But Seattle's kind of been slowing down a bit. They had that big stretch where their starting pitching was just going off. They had that 18 straight games where they only gave 2 or less runs. But since then, the past 2 weeks, it seems like they've kind of been in middle ground. They're running into a hot New York team. I do like Seattle's pitching better right now,
Mhm.
but I'm weary of the offense. So I'm gonna go with the Yankees in the Bronx.
Yeah, I'll go the Yankees too. Would not surprise me if this was a split, just because the pitching is so evenly matched here. Gilbert's been really good. Miller's good. Castillo turned around his season. Clark Schmidt has looked really good to start the season here too. So his year is sub 3 ERA. I just think the offense. I like the Yankees offense more in the Bronx. They got that short porch. Soto is starting to heat up. So yeah, I'll go with the Yankees too.
Yeah, I know that we lean on that safety net of the split all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't feel a split in this one.
No.
I don't know. No,
Okay.
I feel like it's gonna be lopsided. One side or the
Oh.
other.
All right.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
don't know. That's the vibe I'm getting, but we'll see.
All right.
Next up and rounding out the American League, we have the Detroit Tigers heading into Kansas City to take on the Royals. It'll be Reese Olson versus Michael Wacha, Casey Mize versus Alec Marsh, and Tariq Skubal versus Cole Reagans. Obviously, the Royals just came off of a sweep this past weekend. They've been playing really good baseball the entire season. Detroit also played a good series against Arizona, and they're one of those teams where I think is like sometimes they look really good. They're going to turn that corner. Sometimes they look like, I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and go with the Royals in this one. They are at home. They've been a little bit more consistent than Detroit, but I do like the things that the Tigers are doing. Obviously, Tariq Skubal versus Cole Reagan should be a good matchup. So, but I am going to go with the Royals.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Detroit here. I like the pitching in this one. Reese Olson, albeit don't look at his record. His earned run average is very good. It's slightly under 3. Unfortunately, he's 1-5. Not having the best luck. He's not getting a lot of run support. I think they could win that game, and obviously Tariq Skubal and Cole Reagans is a toss up at the end there. So I like Detroit's chances to take 2 or 3 here.
Alrighty. Heading into the National League, we have the Milwaukee Brewers heading into Miami to take on the Marlins. It'll be Joe Ross versus Ryan Weathers, Robert Gasser versus Trevor Rogers, and Freddie Peralta versus Jesus Luzardo. I'm going to go ahead and go with Milwaukee here. No surprise. Obviously, Miami isn't a very good team. They've already traded one of their stars. Um, but Milwaukee's been above and beyond what I thought they were going to be at this point. Early in the season, I couldn't get them right on predictions. I choose them to lose. I choose them to win. Lately, I've been choosing them to win, and it's been paying off. So I'm gonna stick with Milwaukee. Obviously, this is kind of a layup one against Miami, but I'm gonna go with Milwaukee here.
Yeah, Miami burned us both last week, but I'm going to bet against them here again. Robert Gasser, one of their top prospects, they're going in the middle game. He's been really good since coming up in his first 2 starts, ERA just under 1. So see if he can continue that. Um, the offense should provide a boost for over Miami for sure.
Next up, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Dodgers in LA. It'll be Slade Ciccone versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Brandon Pfaadt versus Gavin Stone, and Ryan Nelson versus Tyler Glasnow. The Dodgers are hot right now. They just took 3-4 from Cincinnati. D-backs are not hot. Yeah, no Zach Gallen. I just, it's one of those things. Yamamoto, Glasnow. It's gonna be a tough go for the D-backs. So maybe this is the series if they can win this one, like get some kick started. But I am gonna go with the Dodgers, um, right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dodgers too. Huge for them to miss Gallen and Montgomery. It'll be interesting to kind of see. I mean, this should be an easy series for the Diamondbacks to get up for. I mean, this is you want to show that you can compete with these guys. So, we'll see what kind of team we get here this week.
Yep. Next up, we have the San Diego Padres taking on the Cincinnati Reds. This is the second time they've met. It'll be Joe Musgrove versus Andrew Abbott, Michael King versus to be determined, and Matt Waldron versus to be determined. Obviously, we don't know the back two pitching matchups there with Cincinnati. But I am going to go ahead and take the Reds in this one. San Diego has been playing better ball of late. The first go around, I believe Cincinnati took it in Petco Park. But I just feel like the Reds have been playing so many close games and just falling short. Today they got walked off. Um, San Diego is one of those teams where they're just hot and cold, hot and cold. They're beating the Braves right now,
Mhm.
but they just got swept by Colorado the time before that. So it's
Yep.
like that this team just got me in a blender right now. But I'm gonna go with Cincinnati. They are at home. I did play into my decision, but also how they played them the first go around. And then obviously Ellie De La Cruz is just a monster. So if he's impactful in this series, I think the Reds have a good chance to win.
Yeah, I'll go with the Padres here. Obviously, you're getting Joe Musgrove coming off an injury, Matt Waldron coming off an 11 strikeout game. Michael King's been kind of a mixed bag this year. Some good starts, some bad starts, but I'm totally with you on the Padres. Like I feel like it's series to series. You just don't know what you're gonna get. Are we gonna get a high octane offense, or are we gonna get a pitching staff that struggles? Like I feel like when they pitch well, they don't hit, and then when they hit well, they don't pitch well. It's just like they're just never firing all cylinders, and it's kind of just been an up and down seasons for them so far.
Yep. Next up with the Atlanta Braves taking on the Chicago Cubs. It's gonna be
We don't
not
know the
Matt
pitching
Waldron.
matchups. We don't
Yeah,
know
we
that
don't know the pitching
like they're
matchups
it's
yet.
not out.
It's
It's
to be
weird.
determined versus to be determined across the board.
Yep.
Obviously Atlanta has a double header tomorrow. It's they're playing the Padres, so that kind of impacted their pitching going into the week.
Yeah.
With that said, we don't know. Both sides haven't put out who's starting, so
Yeah.
this I think pitching does matter in this series. I
Hmm.
am gonna go with Atlanta. They just did beat the Cubs last week. The second time they're meeting up. It was a good series, but I'll go with Atlanta. I just think that it's one of those things where they've been hot other than the last two games, and you know the Cubs, they've been hats off to them though.
Yep.
If they were playing anybody else, I'd probably taken them. I took them this past weekend against Pittsburgh, and that bit me.
Yeah.
Um, so they've been playing good baseball, but they did just lose 3-4 to the Pirates, and that also impacts my decision. So I'm gonna go with the Braves.
Yeah. For this decision, obviously we got to rely on offense, right? And we don't know who's pitching. I'm gonna go with the Braves offense here. I think I'll take my chances with the Braves offense. Although like the Cubs have scored some runs too, but I just feel like that Atlanta is gonna slug more in this one.
Yep. Next up, rounding out the National League, it'll be the San Francisco Giants taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates in Pittsburgh. It'll be Logan Webb versus Martin Perez, Jordan Hicks versus Jared Jones. I'm not sure if that one's right. Then Jordan Hicks pitch today?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
And then to be determined versus Paul Skeens. Not sure about the middle game there, but um, with that said, I'm still gonna take the San Francisco Giants. They've won 4 in a row. They just swept Colorado. Pittsburgh's one of those teams that, again, hit or miss. They lose to the Angels in Pittsburgh, but then they go and they beat the Cubs in Chicago. They're just one of those teams that has just been hot and cold, hot and cold. San Francisco looks like they're turning around a little bit. I think they're up to 500 now or getting there. Logan Webb's in this series. I know they got Skeens, they got Jared Jones, but I'm gonna take my chances and go with the Giants on the road.
Yeah, unfortunate injury there to Jung Ho Lee too. He tore his labrum,
Yep.
right? So that'll be tough. I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh here. Paul Skeens looked absolutely electric his last start. Took a no-hitter into the sixth inning. Struck out the first seven batters to start the game, and obviously Jared Jones has been really good too. So, yeah, I'll go Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Jordan Hicks' spot is actually to be determined. Makes sense because he just pitched. So,
Okay.
yeah. But heading into the interleague, it'll be the New York Mets taking on the Cleveland Guardians. It'll be Tyler Meagle versus Ben Lively, Adrian Hauser versus Carlos Carrasco, and Jose Quintana versus Tristan McKenzie. I'm gonna go with Cleveland on this one. I don't think there's much to say. The Mets have just been bleh, and they haven't been consistent. So I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I think this is a pretty easy one to make a decision on.
Yep, me too. And obviously, and Edwin Diaz just got demoted. They're gonna go closer by committee, which was kind of surprising. I mean, not really the way that he's pitched as of late, but it always kind of shocks you when a star gets kind of demoted from his elite spot there. But yeah, I'll go Cleveland here too. I'm not a huge fan of this Mets team, to be honest.
Next up, we have the Minnesota Twins taking on the Washington Nationals. It'll be Pablo Lopez versus Mitchell Parker, Joe Ryan versus Patrick Corbin, and Simon Woods Richardson versus Jake Irvin. This is another one that I feel like should be an auto, but Washington's played pretty good baseball. They have been a little bit colder over the past 10 games. Minnesota's just got swept by Cleveland. Minnesota's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. I am going to take Minnesota, though. They have Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan in this series. So, with that said, I got the Twins.
Yeah, I got the Twins too. Not much more to add there. Minnesota is a more deeper team here too.
Next up, we have the Baltimore Orioles versus the St. Louis Cardinals. It'll be Dean Kramer versus Sonny Gray, Kyle Bradish versus Lance Lynn, and John Means versus Kyle Gibson. At this point, the Cardinals look like a team that's going to be having a fire sale shortly here if they don't turn it around very, very quickly. They did win this past weekend against Boston, but now they got to take on Baltimore, and that's going to be tough. With that said, I'm going to go with Baltimore, Kyle Bradish, and John Means in this series. Um, if you're not choosing the O's at this point, I don't know what you're doing. So I'm gonna go with those.
Yep, I'm gonna go those two. They're a well-oiled machine, man. Depth throughout the lineup. If it's Gunnar Henderson one day, it's Adley Rutschman the next day stepping up offensively. Jordan Westberg's been a really big bright spot for them this year too. And obviously, I mean, they got their three top dogs here going too. So obviously they miss Corbin Burns here, which helps St. Louis a little bit. But yeah, I'll go Baltimore too.
Next up, we have the Texas Rangers taking on Philly in Philly. It'll be John Gray versus Ranger Suarez in game one, and then to be determined in both game two and three. I'm gonna go with Philly. Texas has been struggling lately. Um, they've just kind of been the offense isn't really being explosive. They did just lose two of three to the Angels. Yeah, and Philly's one of the best teams in the league, and they're in first in their division right now. We're talking about Atlanta, but we got to praise Philly a little bit more. They're at the top of that division, and they've been rolling. So I'm going to go with Philly. But again, this is a series that can kind of kickstart Texas again. We'll see though. But Philly's hot right now.
I almost did go Texas because you would expect them to bounce back after losing 2 or 3 to the Angels. But I'm gonna go Philly here. They're at the bank. They're just a different team at home. I feel like it's just a unique place to play, and they always seem to win a lot of games there. So I'll go Philly.
Yep. And last up, we have the series of the week. It's going to be the Colorado Rockies in the Coliseum taking on Oakland. It'll be Cal Quantrill versus Aaron Brooks, Austin Gomber versus Joey Estes, and Ryan Feltner versus to be determined. Man, what a matchup here.
We saved the best for
Oakland's lost.
last. We saved the best for
Oakland's lost
last.
8 in a row. Colorado just got swept. Colorado's been playing better baseball over the past 10 games. With that said, I'm taking Oakland to snap their losing streak and take 2 of 3 against Colorado. I went off pitching. If they can pitch it better, they should win. So,
I'll be
and
honest,
Colorado is on the road. So, and
no
they just got
disrespect,
waxed by San Francisco. So,
no disrespect to Aaron Brooks and Joey Estes. I do not know who both those guys are. So based off that, I'm gonna go Colorado. I, I just feel like, I just feel like they're gonna get it done. I don't know. Well, it's
I don't.
you flip
Did
a
you watch
coin,
the Rockies
flip a
play the
coin,
Giants this past
flip,
weekend?
flip a coin.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one. With that said, in review, I have Houston, Toronto, Tampa, New York, Kansas City, Milwaukee, LA, Cincinnati, Atlanta, San Francisco, Cleveland, Minnesota, Baltimore, Philly, and Oakland. While Blake has Houston, Toronto, Tampa, New York, Detroit, Milwaukee, LA, San Diego, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Minnesota, Baltimore, Philly, and Colorado. As always, we appreciate you guys for listening. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.